My name is Eric Ward. I started link building in 1994. Did the initial publicity campaign for Amazon from my kitchen table on a 14.4 modem. Have been working in the link building industry ever since. Have written for and write for Search Engine Land, Search Engine Watch, ClickZ, Marketing Profs. Have spoken at SMX, ClickZ, SES, Marketing Profs conferences, Search Marketing Now, Direct Marketing Association, probably about 150 to 175 different speaking presentations over the years. Again, cut back on that a few years ago. Still do consults, occasional execution and actual outreach for limited clients. Last project I worked on, I guess it was the Sochi Olympic project last winter. Since then, I've been working ongoing with clients that I've worked with for years, as well as doing the consults, seminars, and workshops customized for clients. And basically, I've focused on links since I started, 21 years ago. Let's go ahead and pick a question. This first question here comes from Mark. And Mark asks, what would you consider to be the most common mistakes that you see in link building projects? What are the most common mistakes that you see in link building projects? Great question. The easiest answer is probably, well, I'll just call it the way I see it. In my opinion, the biggest mistake people make is that they try to apply the same exact kind of linking strategies or tactics regardless of what the site is about. I'll have a consulting call with a client, and their website will be about a particular topic that might be an e-commerce site versus a content site. And the idea that you can execute or roll out a link building campaign with target sites selected that are the same regardless of the site is probably the biggest mistake that I see. Other classic mistakes that I see are no planning or not enough thought put into the prospecting part of the campaign. In other words, link building, what are you building links for? Are we building links for an entire website? Are we building links for a new piece of content on the website? Are we trying to push content out to another website and build links to that? Are we talking about link building for an app that is part of the content assets that are available on a particular website? So depending upon what it is that you're trying to promote, publicize, build links for, the strategy that you'll need to implement will need to be dictated based upon not only the subject matter, but the type of linkable asset. And what I see is people enter into the link building, they think it's, okay, we issue a press release, okay, we go try to find a few blogger influencers and pray to God that they'll write about us. They don't really put any significant thought into putting together an actual blueprint or link building or a plan of attack, depending upon what the content asset is. Then one of the other things that mistakes I see people make, and it looks like, hold on, let me check, see some of these questions rolling in. Okay, don't see the chat part of the Hangout. Okay, well that's fine. Keep sending the tweets to @EricWard if you have a question. So long as you can see me, I can see your question there. But back to the question about most common mistakes. People spend more than they have to. People overspend. I'm blown away when I find out how much people have been spending, whether it's with an agency or the link building service or whatever. I see people spending 10, 15, 20 and more. I mean, astronomical numbers that make my jaw drop for not just link building services and strategies or what have you, but for link building services that are absolute crap. I can't believe how you would think after all of these years people would have wised up a little bit And unfortunately, though, I still see a lot of stuff out there that is not helpful, is overpriced, is not is probably farmed out to a third-party provider. So those are some of the bigger mistakes that I've seen made. At the enterprise level, for a bigger company, one of the most common mistakes, and it still gets made today, is not involving people from different departments, whether it's corporate communications, the PR folks, the IT folks, people from the marketing team. Everybody needs to get together and be on the same page and know what each other's doing. There's still turf battles that go on. Who's responsible for this particular piece of this puzzle? Oh, link building. Well, that's an SEO function, isn't it? Because links have to do with organic search rank or our Google rank. So if it has to do with SEO, then link building goes to the guys over in the SEO side. But that's not the case, because there's a strong aspect of developing links and attention and publicity for your website that originates within the public relations department or the corporate communications department or other groups within the company. The IT guys have got to be involved too, depending upon the site architecture, how the site's built, where the content assets reside on the website, how link-friendly is the website, can it be made more so, so that it's easier, so to speak, to attract links, and especially to share your content. That's one of the biggest mistakes, is you work so hard to get somebody to your website, and then you don't make it easy for people to help your content migrate, help those links move across the web. I get asked a lot about the changes I've seen since I started in '94. In my opinion, the single biggest change of all with regard to link building, I don't even like the term link building. That's what the industry called it. I've always thought that didn't do justice to those of us who work in the field. Link building makes it sound like you're hammering nails, and that's not the case. It's more of it's more a function that would start with the architect and from the design all the way through to the very end to when you actually hammer the nail. So link building doesn't do it justice. But anyway, that's maybe a topic I could spend a little bit more time on in another webinar. But anyway, the idea that content can be shared is probably the single biggest change. When you looked at websites in 1994, when I would start a project for a website, there was no possible way you could look at the website anywhere across it and share it, or if you were lucky, you'd look at a website and it might say, share this web page with a friend, and you had to fill out a form via email. You had to enter their address and then send it to them that way. There were no share buttons, there were no Twitter, there was no Google. So the biggest change is that nowadays, anybody who is on your content, any person who you somehow manage to attract to your website is, technically speaking, theoretically, and even in reality, is a potential link builder for you. And what I mean by that is the mouse. With a click of a mouse, without even having to go to the keyboard and type anything, in 3 seconds, they can push your URLs to their followers. They can like it on Facebook. They can have it end up in somebody's news stream. So the way that URLs move across the web today, the speed with which that can happen is crazy compared to the way things were before. Yet I still see so many companies not making their content easily shareable, or especially not coding their share functionality of their website properly. Like, for example, if you've ever clicked on a share this site or tweet this, and the Twitter box comes up and it's poorly formatted, or they've pulled it automatically from the title tag of the content and it's not very descriptive. The tweet itself is not as useful as it could be in terms of making somebody want to visit that website. So that'd be another big mistake that I see. All right, let's take a look and see what other kind of questions that we have here. Let's check Twitter and see what we've got. Yes, it is being recorded. Sorry for your technical difficulties, but yeah, it's going to be recorded. It'll be pushed out to YouTube when we're done. Okay, next question. Let's take a look and see what we've got here. Anchor text, strictly branded, or do you use variations to increase relevancy? I'm not a real big fan of anchor text strategies, period. I understand that that there was a time when anchor text mattered a lot more than it did now. The problem I've always had with anchor text is it's a end user or content creator owned strategy. In other words, I'm creating my own website. I make the decisions on what my anchor text will be. Therefore, I'm either going to be trying to manipulate Google with my anchor text, or I'm going to try to be creating something that's navigation-wise, anchor text that helps my end users. But if you think in terms of Google, if you think like Google, do you trust anchor text? I've never thought that anchor text should ever have been given the weight that it's been given. And as we've seen over the years, it's slowly but surely been dialed down in terms of the amount of weight Google assigns to anchor text as part of its algorithm. Do I have proof of that? Do I have that in writing? Has Matt Cutts told me that personally? No, but I think it's fairly obvious when we look at the backlink profiles through third-party tools of sites that rank, that the exact match domain or keywords within anchors are not having the effect that they want. Now the question itself, and I'm sorry I got to keep putting the glasses on. 10 years ago I didn't have to keep doing that. Okay, strictly branded, or do you use variations? I don't have, nor do I believe in, trying to put together a specific type of percentage. All right, I want to make sure I have 25% branded terms. So if I'm going out and I'm going to send out 100 link requests, or let's just say for the sake of answering this question that I have 100, I've been told I can have 100 links from 100 different websites for whatever it is. Let's say I've created some wickedly awesome piece of content and people have said, hey, I want to link to this. Do you have any particular preference as to how we link to this? Not that that happens, but let's say it does. So you have utter and complete control of 100 new inbounds to your website as to how you want those sites to link to you, what anchor text that they use. So at that moment, you can make, or at that time, you can now decide, okay, what percentage of these do I want to have, say, link building expert? What percentage of those do I want to have that just say ericward.com? What percentage of those do I want to have, say, linking strategist or whatever? I don't put percentages on those. In fact, if somebody was to actually tell me, hey, how do you want me to link to you? I'm not even going to ask them. I'm not going to give them a specific set of instructions. I'm going to say, link to me however you want. Link to me in whatever manner you feel like linking to me. I want that anchor text to happen completely and totally organically based upon the decision made by the owner of the content. The other thing is, when you are seeking links from highest caliber content, the higher up the food chain you go in terms of the target sites you're going after in hopes of getting a link, the less likely, the higher up the food chain, the less likely it is that that person's going to give over control of the anchor text. You know, if you're fortunate enough to pick up a link from a high-value site, are they then going to say, hey, how do you want us to link to you? Well, if anybody who's willing to give over control over how they link to you does not have a whole lot of respect for their own content. I don't do that much linking out on my own site, except if I'm writing an article or if I have a legitimate reason to. I don't link just because I've been asked to. But when I do so, I would never send an email to somebody and say, how do you want me to link to you? Or nor would I link in such a way like, what's the most advantageous way I could link to help this guy? So the other cool thing that's happening here is Google doesn't necessarily need keyword-rich anchors like they used to. Google's getting better at actually understanding the content on pages, looking at the surrounding text. If any of you know who Bill Slosky is, SEO by the Sea, read his site. He helps take the various Google patents that they have and distill them down into something that is understandable. Google can understand, even if your anchor text says click here, which is supposedly the absolute ultimate mistake you can make. That's not the case at all. As long as there's descriptive text on that page, that combined with the site being linked to, Google can put 2 and 2 together and figure out without necessarily having to have the absolute perfect anchor text. So my personal opinion is I would like the way that anchor text occurs over time to any given website in a natural web, organically, without anybody trying to manipulate, would be that those anchors would appear from everything from the clickable link is the URL of the site, the clickable link is the name of the site, taken directly from the title tag. The clickable link says click here. The clickable link says visit this website, or says click here for more information, as opposed to something like cheapmedsonline.com. Or, well, actually, that would be okay if it's actually the domain name. But what looks suspicious, frankly, is when you start to look through the anchor text and you start to see, I mean, it's like you knew it when you see it. It's like in a natural web, in an organic web, are we really going to start to see percentages start to go from 15 to 20 to 30 to 40%, where buy meds cheap is the anchor text? That doesn't happen in a natural web. That's manipulative. I can look at that on a spreadsheet. I can look at the anchor text from Majestic or Ahrefs or Moz, and in less than 30 seconds I can tell which one's been manipulated and which one's not, hasn't been. The other thing that's important to note about anchor text, and I'm sorry, by the way, for the lighting here. We're having absolutely horrible weather, and my office lights are fairly dim, so if I look like I'm sitting in a cave, I kind of am. We're at the foot of the Smoky Mountains in my office above my garage, so and it is dark. But I apologize that it looks. I don't mean for it to look mysterious. Maybe it's perfect for Halloween. But anyway, back to the anchor text question. The other thing about anchor text. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. That'll happen. Man, when you're closer to 50 than 40, all of a sudden stuff like that starts to happen. It's a little bit freaky. Okay, what was I talking about on the anchor text? The other thing I was going to note about anchor text. Shoot, well, maybe it'll pop back into my head, and if it does, I'll come back and I'll answer that. But let's move on, take a look and see. Oh my God, we've cracked double figures on viewers. I'm so proud. I've got more than 10 viewers now. Okay, so we've talked about common mistakes in link building projects. We've talked about anchor text. What are the main metrics that you would recommend focusing on when it comes to undertaking a link building project? We're going to talk about that. We'll come back to that one. And we'll take a look at another one right here. What is your opinion on schema markup? Do you think it will be more important than links? If you had a choice, would you take the time to mark up your site with schema? Well, first of all, let's go back and talk a little bit about schema. Schema is a way of being able to identify certain elements or pieces of content on your website. For example, you can go in and add new tags so that you can tell Google certain things about your website, whether it's a product description, whether it's an author name or whatever. And we know that Google is very much supportive of schema. Let me see if I can adjust the brightness on this. That is just so dim. I apologize for that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to brighten it up or not. Boy, has it gotten dark outside. I may just leave it the way it is. I don't know that I can or not. If I can't do it in about 30 seconds, I'm not going to do it. Let's pull it up and see if we can brighten her up a little bit. All right, advanced settings, and let's go to brightness, and that's better. I like that. A little bit better. It's as good as we're going to get it today anyway. Okay, back to schema. Schema. By the way, if you want to learn more about this, and go to schema.org. Specific to the question, it's, in my opinion, today, I have no plans whatsoever to mark up my site's informational. Yeah, I could still probably benefit a little bit from marking up some of my content, but I have no plans to implement schema right now, and until I see evidence in rankings of my clients or my own site that it's hurting me, until I see rankings start to drop and I can't ascribe it to any other aspect of the linking profiles of competitors or my own, until I believe that schema itself is the reason behind it, I'm not going to worry about it. Now, that said, for e-commerce sites, for sites that are selling products, I think it probably is worth spending some time going to schema.org and learning about Schema, and as well as a number of different other, I think they're called not micro data or micro formats or whatever. But my personal opinion is that links still will trump that markup. In other words, the credibility of the sites linking to you can overcome the fact that you have not chosen to take on or implement schema markup on your content. And it's a big decision. It's not an easy thing to do. You know, it's kind of similar in some ways to the question, which is also in our list here, about HTTPS going to a secure server and its effect. Now, if you've got a really nice link profile and you're ranking really well, should you be worried if you are not on a secure server? I mean, my site's a good example of that. I'm not going to pay the fee to go to a secure server, but I've also got a website that's now 19 years old with 100% natural, organically created backlink profile. So for my particular situation, the only transactions I conduct on my website are PayPal. In other words, somebody clicks on my site and the transaction itself goes to PayPal. I don't actually capture information on my website. There's nothing about my website where someone would need to be fearful of me getting information that I was going to try to sell to somebody. There's nothing that I would capture on my website, no information that would make me feel as though I need to move to a secure server. Now, that said, we've had little hints here and there from John Mueller and from some other people at Google that there is the potential that a web server, what'd somebody call it? I think John might have said it's a tiebreaker. In other words, if you've got two websites that, in the absence of, if both of them if one of them is on a secure server and one of them is not, and Google has to make a choice and all other things are equal, all other signals of their hundreds of signals are equal, and it boils down to, okay, we've got to rank one of these first and one of these second, then what Google's saying is their choice would be to rank the secure server regardless of whether or not it had a better link profile than the site that was hosted on a non-secure server. I don't know that I agree with that, but it doesn't matter what I think. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter if I agree with Google or not. Google still gets to make the rules, and if you are after organic traffic from Google, then you've got to make decisions about whether or not you want to do those things. My personal opinion is taking on the cost of migrating to a secure server is probably, for an informational site, not something that you need to worry about yet. Same with Schema. Now, flash forward 5 years, I have a feeling that my website will not only have some sort of microdata format, it's probably Schema, I will probably have migrated to a secure server. So, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Let's take a look, next question, and see what we've got. Anything on Twitter? Any questions there? Somebody quoting me, whomever wants to give control over how they link to you has no respect over their content. Bingo, absolutely true. This is also why, by the way, speaking to this particular topic, and I know this sounds crazy, but it's absolutely not a lie. I think I've sent out somewhere between 125,000 to 150,000 outreach emails asking for links over the course of 20 years. And I did that math just by looking through, trying to tally up number of clients worked with, various projects, about how many I used to do a day or a week or a month, and it's a rough number. I know it's over 100,000. I know it's not 200,000. That's a lot of emails. I have never once in any single email outreach request ever asked for anchor text. I have never once in any of those requests ever included copy and paste code. And here's why. When I get those emails myself, I get emails all the time from people that I know they're lying. I love it when people send me emails that say, hey, we were just on your blog and reading your content. We really think it's great. No, you weren't. You weren't on my website reading my blog. I haven't updated my blog in 3 years, so I don't know why you would have been on it. But anyway, regardless of what they say in their preamble, in their email, which is always something about how awesome the person is. Just on your web, I'd love it if someone was actually honest. We were just on your website and see that you haven't updated it in forever and your content is slowly starting to rot. If your website had a smell, you know, if my monitor could have it smell, your website would have a stench. Now, can we have a link from it? Because it's really old and authoritative. Can we have a link? Yeah, I would have more respect for you then than the crap that you send me that says, hi, we were just on your website and we're reading your post, blah, 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 and we think that was absolutely awesome. By the way, we've created an infographic that we think would look great and would love for you to consider including a link to on your website. Would you please copy and paste or whatever, and then they give me instructions on how they want me to link to them. So it's, in a sense, what they're saying is, dear person who we've never met, and whom doesn't often link out to other content, please link to us and do so in the following way. No. I mean, anybody who would say yes to that, you have to question the value of that link in the first place. So, and yeah, I know that there's plenty of ways that, whether you're paying for a sponsored blog post or whatever, there are people out there who will give control over how they link to you or how you want them to link. But the reality is, in my opinion, that the more control you have over how anybody chooses to mention, cite, link to you or one of your content assets on your website, the more control they give you over how that happens, the less useful that link will be, both for Google and for search traffic. The most important or valuable links will happen the way the author of the content wants them to happen. So let it be. And you know, I really strongly believe that. You know, if you want to have, there was a time back in the day when there used to be when websites had that link to us page, how to link to us, and they would give directions. And if you want to have one of those, that's fine. And some people may actually copy and paste your code. It was a lot easier back when HTML didn't have so many flavors. I mean, nowadays you could copy and paste a snippet, a collection of code onto your website, and it'd break your website. That's another reason why I think the copy and paste is kind of a joke. It's like, I'm not going to copy and paste your code into my website. I have no idea if your code's going to work with my code. Anyway, yeah, you could have a linking to us page if you want to have it there. But the reality is, in my opinion, let the links happen as they will, because the most valuable links of all will happen that way. All right, let's move on and see if we got another question here. Okay, anything up there? We'll come back to that one. Okay, Eric, off topic a little bit. What are the top SEO musts? Any number of musts will be appreciated. I have no idea that there's a specific number. I would rather say that, even though I've been doing this 2 decades, I'd rather sit here and tell you, well, we'll talk more about it, but to me there would be nothing that would make me seem more like a fraud than to sit here and look at you and lean into the camera and say there are 27 absolute SEO musts, and if you are not using all 27 of these, then you have no chance of success. I call bullshit the moment I see somebody acting. I mean, people call me an expert, and I accept that. I'll take that. I'll use that in my bio, but I'm only doing that for one reason. I got 3 kids to feed. If to whatever degree you want to believe I'm an expert, that's fine. But I'm not. Who's an expert at anything? I've just been doing it longer. So I happen to know a little bit more than a few other people, and they might know more than me about other things. So as far as absolute SEO musts, there are hundreds and there are none. I see websites every day that break every so-called SEO rule in the book. Crappy title tag, forgot a description tag. I know the description tag doesn't help in your organic rankings, but it can influence how Google renders your result. The description that they choose, the quote snippet, or whatever you want to call it. So I see sites every day that break SEO rules yet still rank well. At the same time, I see absolute perfectly optimized websites. Well, I shouldn't say perfectly, because that would then mean that I know what a perfectly optimized website is, and that's a moving target. For who? For Google's algorithm that nobody actually knows exactly how it works. There cannot actually be a perfectly SEO optimized website. You want to tweet a quote? There is no such thing as a perfectly optimized website anywhere. Anybody who tells you that there is has just lied, because they probably want money from you. And they tell you that they can do that for you. No, they can't, because they don't know what that. I don't even know that Google's engineers, all of those PhDs they have at the Googleplex, I don't even know if they understand how their algorithm works, to be honest. But to try to answer the question in a way where it at least provides a little bit of value as to some SEO musts, well, I guess I can use my own site as my one site lab. If there is any element that's on site, on page, that still actually matters, and matters a lot, it's going to be your title tag. Still, after all of these years, the title tag is probably the single greatest chance that you have to influence your ability to rank, to take the greatest advantage of whatever links you have been able to acquire, obtain, earn over time. To also, and I don't mean the title tag just on your homepage. I'm talking about how you choose to name every single page on your website. And I violate this rule on my own site. My site's so old and has been written in so many different, and I've recently, finally, thanks to the brilliance of Brian Clark and everybody over at Copyblogger and the Rainmaker platform, finally my website looks like it wasn't made in 1940. But regardless of that, I bet you I still, of the 300 or 400 pages on my website, I've got a lot of stuff that's not optimized at all. I mistakenly have duplicate title tags probably on 20 or 30 pages, same with meta description tags. But back to the question, the title tag is the single most important SEO element that you actually have control over anymore with regards to what you choose to use and as your title tag, and how Google will treat that. As far as any other SEO musts, what am I going to say? I mean, if my nickname is Link Moses, and I believe that you're not supposed to manipulate, the reality is, the best thing I can tell you is, don't cheat. Don't try to fool anybody. But as far as SEO musts, people will say you absolutely must use your alt tags properly on your images for SEO purposes. Okay, if you say so. I've got a lot of images that I've never included alt tags on. I still see them, and when I do a Google image search, come up pretty high, but that could be the overall authority of my website. So anyway, there are endless. You could spend a month trying to perfectly optimize your website, and it have absolutely no effect on your rankings whatsoever. At the same time, you could have a website that has not been optimized well at all, but because of the verticality or the quality of the content, it's still going to rank highly. Man, do a search on something. I'd screen share and do a search, but I'm afraid technically it won't work. I mean, if I could do a search probably right now on a long tail nichified term, and the sites that are ranking 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are likely to be some of the most poorly optimized websites you have ever seen in your life. You know, in fact, let's do one. Let me do a screen share real quick here. Hello. Where'd you go, screen share? Screen share, and let's pick one. Okay, share, bang. All right, we're screen sharing now. Let's hit Google. Let's do a search. You know, I talk about archery all the time because I love it, did it when I was little, and my kids do it too. Here's a great example about SEO rules. I'm going to do a search on archery clubs. There's thousands of archery clubs around the country. Google's got to rank something. Now, by the way, I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, so note, even though all I did was archery clubs, they're giving me local results here, very close to where I live. But let's go down to the organics. Let's go down to, and we got 1.6 million results here, right? 1.6 mil. The very first result I'm given is the Olympic Arrow Archery Club in Knoxville. Good job, Google. You knew where I was. You felt that my generic search on archery clubs would be best answered by a club that was close to me. I get that. That's fine. Now, does that mean, though, by the way, look at that. That's outranking at position 3 the United States Olympic Committee Archery Club. Kind of ironic there because the USOC is actually a client of mine. But regardless, let's go back to this first one here. The Olympic Arrow Archery Club of Knoxville, Tennessee. My hunch is you are about to see a website that it looks like it was probably created in 1994 for GeoCities, or 96, or whenever GeoCities started. But anyway, when we look at this, I'm not exactly seeing a website that looks like it was created and managed by somebody that has a whole heck of a lot of SEO expertise. In fact, there's not a whole lot for Google to chew on, period, here. We actually have some, I mean, we've got, I don't think these are done for SEO purposes, to be honest. I think these are done for navigation purposes. Is this site, which ranks #1 for the search phrase archery clubs, implementing every one of any so-called SEO list of must-haves? Nope, absolutely not. Because I can darn sure guarantee you that this site right here from the U.S. Olympic Committee is optimized to the, probably to the greatest extent it can be. Now, my side of the, any work that I've done with teamusa.org has nothing to do with SEO. I'm on the content publicity side, but I can guarantee you that their websites are optimized. To be honest, I'm not even wild about that. Whoever's done the optimization there, find a club, Team USA, find a club. I don't know that I like that title tag at all, to be honest. But back to the point here. So now we're looking at other sites. Let's see the Olympic. One more. There's that same site again, and they're showing me that because I'm in Knoxville. But I don't think any of these sites, the Smoky Mountain Archers, okay, so they're probably 50 miles from here. Here's another website, looks like it was made in 1997. They're even using a MySpace counter? Seriously? Free counter code? They've got a widget on their website, and they're at position 3 or 4 out of 1.6 million? I mean, there's the proof right there, in my opinion. I mean, they probably have nobody working on SEO whatsoever on this website. So there's Google basically saying, pardon my language, screw SEO. Where's this guy located that did this search? Let's find his IP address. Okay, looks like he's somewhere around Knoxville. He did a generic search on the phrase archery clubs. I didn't say archery clubs Knoxville. I just said archery clubs. Out of 1.6 million results, they're giving me multiple results that are in no way, shape, or form optimized at all for SEO purposes. Okay, I'll shut up on that one. I just wanted to at least show you one example there. That does not, again, and looks like I apologize again for the quality of the lighting. I wish it was a little bit better. I'm not trying to say that SEO practitioners are not important. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't optimize your site at all. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is that I think people, sometimes you can let perfect be the enemy of the good. You know, it's like if I had waited until I knew actually how to design a website or how to optimize a website, I still don't, I never would have launched a website. You know, I built my first website actually using Notepad, hand typing the HTML. I can still code in HTML. I guess when I started getting to the point where I couldn't do it was HTML3 but anyway, the point being, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good when it comes to SEO. The search engines, as you just saw by that example, don't necessarily need perfection to be able to understand and answer a query. The reality is, for all intents and purposes, that actually was a pretty decent set of results. My 13-year-old, just turned 13, I've got a teenager, loves archery. And it's one of those things, when I was a kid, I loved it too, so it's kind of cool that we both like it. So that search right there actually was a useful search for me. Those sites were not optimized in any way. So moving on. Let's take a look at the next question here. Okay. Please show us how Archery Club's local link profile contributed to rank. Okay. Show us how, let's see, that's Scott. Show us how that Archery Club's local link profile contributed to rank. All right. Let's pick one. Let's go back. We're going to have to screen share to do this. What time is it? It's 9:55. We're going to keep going. We've got enough viewers that I'll keep going. In fact, my plan is to do these at least once a month, and I'd love to do it more, but I don't know if I want to do it just for 10 to 15 viewers. We'll see. We'll see. What I want to do is have it be that people on the web can know that if it's Friday morning, Eric's online answering questions for free about link building. Why am I doing it for free? Well, I've been doing this longer than anyone, and with what Google's done with Penguin and Panda and everything over the past few years, and with the challenges people are facing, I just I want to help. You know, it's like that was the way the web used to be. People would help each other and not necessarily expect payment for it. So I'm going to get online and do that if I can. The only thing, you know what I want out of this? If you feel like I know, I have a clue and it all helpful to you, subscribe to my newsletter. It's $8. You know, that's all I want. So I'm not asking for much on that one. I just want to see if there's a way to help you. Now, let's screen share again and figure and take a look at that. Hello, screen share, bang. Okay, screen share Archery Club, then share. Now you're looking at that again. The question that the person asked was, please show us why this site ranked that high. What made Google have enough faith in that website to rank it that high? Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the URL right there. I'm going to hop over to, and I'm not in right, or the service that I necessarily believe to be the best in terms of Majestic. I'm just saying we're using Ahrefs. Wow. Sign me in. Come on. Oh, it wants to know I'm not a robot. Select all images with commercial trucks. Commercial trucks? Well, what does that mean, commercial truck? There's a commercial truck. There's a commercial truck. Don't know if that's a commercial truck or not. It kind of looks like it might be, but I'm not positive. Let's see. Okay, back to the link profile. Remember what we're looking at here. We're looking for the link profile. The search was Archery Clubs. The site, whoops, the site that came up first was this one right here. So now we're over at Ahrefs, and we are going to drop that domain in right here. Sorry. And now we're going to look and see at least at what Ahrefs can show us in terms of its backlink profile to see if we can determine why Google felt confident enough to show us that site at position 1 out of 1.6 million. What was it about its backlink profile, its local backlink profile? And the Site Explorer here is taking a little time to work. Let's give it a few more seconds. Here we go. All right. Look at this. Man, and I'm not saying that this is accurate, but the site right here, let me go back to the search results. You guys got to make sure that you see what you're looking at here. The #1 organic result for the generic search Archery Clubs out of 1.6 million, the #1 organic result, according to Ahrefs, has 6 links. 6. Yet that was enough for Google to feel confident enough to put it at position 1 out of 1.6 million? That's crazy. Well, let's take a look at their links. All 6 of them. Oh my gosh, they're in directories? Seriously? That's the strongest that they can find? See, now, I don't want to say anything negative. I'm going to show you some real super secret Google tricks. Does that mean that you didn't hear squat for the last 5 minutes? Am I, oh shit. So everything I just said about that website, I got to go back and start. Let's go back because I want to make sure that we do it. Okay. So just as we were loading up the links from Ahrefs, you lost me, right? Bingo. Okay. All right. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it. And my apologies that I didn't notice that my when I got excited and kicked my headset out and plugged it back in, I didn't notice that it by default put me back in muted. I'm such an expert. I need to change my title tag. Link building expert, technology moron. Okay, we're going to go back. The original search was archery clubs. We were baffled, or the question was, out of 1.6 million results, why is it showing this website right here? And when we go to that website, it's obviously not optimized. It's not following any so-called SEO best practices list. So the question that came in was, could you please show us why? Why is it ranking so well? What is it about its local citation profile that makes Google feel confident enough to rank it there? So I took the URL and I dropped it into Ahrefs. You could use Moz, you could use Majestic, whatever tool you want to use. And that was where the real eye-opener came in. It was like, what's going on with its backlinks? There's only 6 links? How can it only have 6 links and be ranking at position 1 for the phrase archery club out of the 1.6 million options Google could have given me, including the US Olympic Committee? How the hell does Google rank that hideous website at position 1 with only 6 links? Ah, okay. So we're going to do a little trick. And I don't know if you heard me say this or not, so I need to repeat it just in case. There are many different services that you can analyze backlink profiles. You can use Ahrefs, you can use Moz, you can use Majestic. I think there's Open Site Explorer. I think there's a few others. But the key is that they maintain their own separate and distinct database and crawl of the web. Google has their crawl. These third-party services have their crawl. The only reason that these third-party companies exist and get to stay in business is because Google won't tell us everything we want to know about links. Google decides to tell us everything we want to know about links. We don't need a third-party service. So here's the thing, though, and I don't mean this. I use those third-party tools every day, but I'm aware as I'm using them that they only have a speck of the backlink data, both current and historical, that Google has access to. The comment I made, I think I was muted when I did it, I said it was, there's 72 million crappy blog link farms in Russia that have been selling links for a decade. They still exist. Google crawls them. It's in their best interest to crawl them. Even though they know, you could argue, well, that's a waste of time. Once they've identified that it's utter crap, why keep crawling it? Because by crawling the good, the bad, and the ugly, Google's algorithm actually gets better. Crawl the 72 million crappy pages. When you start comparing every single page that you crawl and you look at the footprints, things start to emerge that tell you what can be trusted. Now, let's look at a third-party backlink service. Let's say I start my own, ericwardsbacklinkdata.com. I got to make a decision about how much of the web I really want to crawl. Do I want to crawl 72 million pages that exist on a known collection of on a known link farm in Russia? No, because there's nothing actionable there for my end users. Why take there is an expense associated with crawling that data, parsing that data, indexing that data, storing that data, sticking it into my database so that it can show up within the metrics of my data. I'm not going to crawl that. I want my clients to see useful targets, useful website links. Whereas for Google, it's in their best interest. Don't forget also, going all the way back to Google's very first crawl of the web, whenever that took place, they know historically exactly what a normalized or what a normal anchor text profile ought to look like, because they've got data from back before everybody tried to manipulate it. They know what a crappy link farm looks like because they've been crawling them, and they keep crawling them. Every time Google discovers something that's an attempt to manipulate. It's helping its algorithm get better. The other companies can do that same thing, but they have to make a very hard decision. And what you're seeing right here, when we do this, when I did the screen share, let's go back to the screen share now. Hello. Okay, so now we're looking at the backlink data for, remember the search, just to refresh, Archery Clubs, 1.6 million results. Site at position 1 is this site which we know doesn't, I guarantee you they don't SEO. This is more navigation than anything. I can look at this website and know that they are not paying an SEO any kind of money to keep it perfectly optimized. They might not even know what SEO is, although they might know a little bit. I mean, the title tag at least. I mean, if you want to, we can take a quick look at the source code and we can see, to be honest, yeah, you can see they used the Homestead style. This is not somebody who is savvy in the art and science of SEO. I'm not trying to insult them, but I'm telling you they're not. Yet Google's ranking them at position 1 out of 1.6 million, and Ahrefs is telling me they only have 6 backlinks. There's something crazy going on here. And this is where I decided, well, let's do a quick little sneaky search. Let's ask Google a question. Google, and I took the domain name that ranked first out of 1.6 million, theolympicarrow.com. I said, Google, show me any mention you can find for theolympicarrow.com, but I don't need to see mentions on their own website, so I include the advanced operator minus site : theolympicarrow.com. Google's given me 62 results. Well, wait a minute. That right off the bat shows us we got a little bit of an issue here in terms of what Google knows. And don't forget, the search I did was not for backlinks. The search I did was for mentions of the URL. Some of these will be links. But Google knows of at least 62 instances. Now let's look through them. They've got a YouTube channel. In addition to a YouTube channel, they're also listed on some site called First Post. I don't know what this website is, but it looks like this is just an article. It was the archery lessons for the Tennessee Children's Dance Ensemble in action. It's not even a clickable link. It's a citation. Let's keep going. There was somebody in here. Oh, look at that. They've got a Pinterest board. Why did the third-party backlink data provider not tell me they had a Pinterest board? Google loves Pinterest. Whether they should or they shouldn't. Does that picture look familiar to anybody, by the way? And there's our no followed link. And we'll talk about no follow here in a second because it's important that we do. So there's another mention, which is actually a clickable link that did not show up in the 6 links that the third-party data provider showed us. Let's keep going. A lot of these are these scraper sites that just kind of, since my search technically was for a domain, a lot of these are pointless websites that basically are like, how much is that domain worth? But here's an interesting article. It's a PDF written by back in 2013 that mentions the Olympic Arrow. That's interesting. That's a legitimate mention. I'm not going to download that PDF. I don't want anything to crash. Then I mentioned back in 2013, the KnoxvilleParent.com website, which is a very good site here in town, actually mentions and links to that website, archery camps, organized by Elzbieta Tawarek. I probably butchered that name. And there's your link. Well, wait a minute. This is an important site here in Knoxville. And it's linking to the Olympic Arrow. Where was it? Never showed up. Let's keep going. Here's somebody on Facebook that actually looks like they had a Facebook page as well for the Olympic Arrow. Here's a Facebook page for somebody who gives archery lessons. So we're finding plenty of links and citations. We're finding a far greater presence than we have been told about, told existed. Boy, this site hadn't been updated in a while. She looks like she's an archery coach. That's fine. I don't actually mind that. Sometimes I think there's actually more credibility to a site that doesn't get updated that much because people are actually out there doing whatever it is they're passionate about. And then the other link that was in here that I thought was awesome, that for me was like the awesome that was, or the link that was the, where was it? It was Easton. Come on, where was it? It was a .org. Hold on. There it is. I don't want to go to that PDF. Hold on. There we go. Well, I may have to. Let's go to the domain. What is this .org website where they picked up a link? Is it legit or is it not? And when we get here, we see that it's totally legit. It's actually the, you know, Easton Sports, the sporting, I mean, Easton makes all kind, I mean, we got more Easton gear here for my 3 kids than I even, for the various sports that they participate in. But nonetheless, this is the Easton Foundation. And on the Easton Foundation website, somewhere buried inside it, is a PDF document of apparently an archery report that focuses on archery clubs, and there's our mention. There's another mention on another mommy blog from a mommy blogger in Knoxville. And this is the 2015. Let's take a look at that one. It's 2015, so this just happened. "2015 Summer Camp Guide." Again, the red dots mean no follow, and we'll talk more about no follow in a second because it's one of those that you need to understand a little bit more about. Hold on. Archery. Where's our link? Okay, the Olympic Arrow Archery Camps. Bang! TheOlympicArrow.com. I mean, there's a link right there from one of the top mommy blogs in all of Knoxville. Local link, local citation. Call it what you want. I don't care, but bang, there's your link. Not even discovered or shown to anybody here, but Google obviously knew about it, and Google could then use that, as well as some of these others that I've shown you, to be confident enough. I mean, again, they showed me 1.6 million results, but it only showed me 62 results when I do a search on the domain name. These aren't, and there's more than that, because these aren't searching, I'm not searching for links. Unfortunately, Google deprecated the link operator a long time ago, although sometimes you can find some pretty cool stuff. No, not going to work at all. So this particular search right here shows me that Google's got plenty to go on. And this is why, in answer to the original question that was asked whenever it was, an hour ago, when you're looking for some sort of set of SEO rules, there are none. Hold on. Let me stop sharing. Okay. Then I said before, when my dad was trying to make a point when I was young, he'd take his glasses off and throw them down on the table when I... So the point here is not that you shouldn't SEO your site or optimize your site for your end users. But the point is, as was just demonstrated by that little drill or that little exercise, is I did a generic search at Google, archery clubs. Google, out of 1.6 million results, gave me a little no-name archery club that a third-party backlink data provider told me only had 6 inbounds, and those 6 inbounds all originated from a web directory that none of us have ever used, none of us will ever use in our lives for resource discovery. So the challenge then is, well, why the hell did Google rank it so high? But by doing that tricky little search, and it's not that tricky, it's basically just a domain search, we found that Google had plenty to go on. And maybe the most important thing to take away from all of the last 15 minutes of pain and suffering that I just put you through is that Google does not need a whole lot of trustworthy citations or links to render results for me. I mean, it obviously gave me a local result, so it picked up on my IP address. It knows I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. Because my search was not Archery Clubs Knoxville. My search was just Archery Clubs, but it knew I was in Knoxville, so it went ahead and tried to give me something personalized. But that personalization was only based on 62 mentions that it showed me, probably a handful of others that it didn't. None of the third-party backlink data providers are showing me that Pinterest board or that PDF from Easton's Foundation or those 2 mommy bloggers that we found What I'm saying is sometimes it can be 5, 10, 15 citations, mentions, links from the right places are all that is needed. I mean, it was, for the archery clubs, that site was ranking 3 ahead of the U.S. Olympic Committee's archery section on archery clubs. That's how important personalization was there, or having those local links was in that particular case. All right, I'm going to shut up now. Hopefully I didn't overtalk my welcome on that one, but I probably did. I hope that example, and again, this is being recorded, but I hope that example kind of illustrates just how dangerous it can be to base your backlink strategies, your backlink pursuits on third-party backlink data. First of all, there was nothing to go on there. It wouldn't have been, well, gee, what do I do? They only had 6 links from a crappy directory. I can replicate that and get the same link, but it's not. Is that really going to help me? No, it's not. Okay, let's go ahead. Next question. Eric, do links built to a subdomain pass sufficient amount of juice to the actual domain? Let's say the blog is on the subdomain and is the linkable content. The main domain is very salesy. I've heard conflicting answers. Awesome question. Let's make it more of a real life scenario. I've got ericward.com, and on ericward.com, although there's a lot of content about me, the obvious objective is that hopefully somebody will click one of those PayPal buttons and sign up for the newsletter. We'll click one of those PayPal buttons and request some consulting time, or there's definitely commerce taking place on my site. There has to, or else I can't feed my kids. So let's say I decide to add a top-level domain. Let's call it library.ericward.com. And on there, I take every article I've ever written over the past 20 years, regardless of where it was from. I take all of that and I stick it in library. And now I go out and I tell the world that, or I try to build links to library.ericward.com. I'm not technically building links to ericward.com. I'm building links to library.ericward.com. And the question there was, again, will links built to library.ericward.com pass a sufficient amount of juice to the actual domain? First of all, no offense at all, Samantha, I don't believe in link juice. What ends up happening is when you give links or citations or domains a term that kind of turns them into a commodity. There's 37 ounces of juice available from this domain. If I get a link from them, some number of those ounces from those 37 ounces of juice will get poured toward my website. But every website, every single day, is going through its own. Websites are not static. The links pointing at my website today will be different tomorrow. Some websites will go out of business that have been linking to me for a long time. Somebody will write a new post and call me names or say something or mention one of my links. So there is no website with 37 ounces of juice or 37 ounces of whatever you want to call it to be able to pass along. There is potentially, let's, for the sake of argument, say that there is a degree of power, whatever that amount is, that a website has that varies from day to day. Tomorrow that website could get far more powerful because it might end up with links for some reason from CNN or some other highly authoritative website. So there is X amount of power to be distributed, if you want to say that. If I choose to create a top-level domain, library.ericward.com, and I ask for a link to that as opposed to ericward.com/library or whatever, is that something that Google will recognize and still reward ericward.com? Even though the link is not technically pointing to ericward.com, the link is pointing to library.ericward.com. This is my opinion, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people out there that disagree with me, and that's fine. My opinion is that while there was a time when I would have said oh my gosh, you do not want to create a top-level domain. Eric, don't make library.ericward.com. You have got to make ericward.com/library and make sure all of the links go there, because then it's all going to help the mothership of ericward.com, the domain. In my opinion, we've reached that point where the engines are smart enough to be able to recognize that if I build 50 new links to library.ericward.com versus had I built those 50 links to ericward.com/library, the effect on my organic ranking from one to the other is negligible. In fact, I don't personally believe there will be any difference. In other words, let's say for the sake of argument that after that I create ericward.com/library and I get 27 new links to that, and my rankings for people doing a search on link building articles or linking strategy articles, my position goes from position 20 to position 4. I make it all the way to the first page because of those 27 new links I earned to /directory. But now let's say instead that I had created library.ericward.com, and those 27 links I earned were to library.ericward.com. Am I still going to go from position 22 to position 4? Since the links technically don't point to ericward.com, they're pointing to library.ericward.com. In my opinion, yes, you are. Your ranking is going to go to exactly the same. You will receive exactly as much improvement as you would have had you gone with the subdirectory approach. Aha, caveats, potential scenarios where that might not be the case. See, it's easy for me to say that. Again, 20-year-old website, potent inbound link profile earned organically, tens of thousands of links. So in terms of Google ever having to make a decision as to what it will or won't trust about my website, it's a lot easier for Google. But now let's say that over the years I had tried a bunch of different scammy or gray hat or whatever you want to call them, whatever. Not necessarily totally legit or whatever. Let's say I had top-level domains and I tried to see video.ericward.com. Let me see if I can rank for link building videos. And I went out and I did a bunch of crappy link building, or I did some submissions, or I hired whatever. In other words, there is an aspect to my backlink profile which Google has now seen where it may not be quite as confident that it trusts ericward.com. In that scenario, I may be better off putting it in a subdirectory versus in a top-level domain if there is historical evidence that this is a domain that is engaged in activities, or especially if it's ever received a notification in Google Webmaster or Console, or ever had any kind of penalty. Another thing probably that we need to discuss there is sites that have been penalized for bad linking behavior, whether we agree or not that there is such a thing as bad linking behavior, whether we agree or not that Google has a right to do these things or not, the harsh reality is it's the world that these are the cards that we've been dealt, and we're either going to play them or we're going to walk away from the table. Okay, so the reality here is if you have engaged in activities and ever been busted by Google, it would be crazy to believe that Google is not now looking at you with a much more closer. I mean, you've been penalized before. You've done a lot of, I mean, if I'm Google's algorithm, I'm like this now. Sorry for that extreme close-up. The point being is your reputation with Google is not finite or not instantaneous. It is for the search results, but what goes into that is what Google knows to be true about you over time. It's why I can rank for a link building article that I write in 48 hours. If I write an article, well, we should do a test. I should write an article about this link building webcast or link building webinar and see where it would rank. Google knows I have earned Google's respect based upon my linking behavior over time, whereas if you are a website that has not, because you've engaged in activities and been busted for it, or regardless, if Google is not so sure it trusts you, and you might not even know that, it doesn't have to tell you anything in Webmaster Console, then that approach might, again, case-by-case basis. I might have a client ask me top-level domain or subdirectory, and I might say subdirectory, man, based on what you told me about your history, subdirectory is the way to go. Or I might say top-level domain, you're good. You got an 8-year-old website, looking at your backlink profile, everything is clean, awesome, good, inbounds. You've never done anything shady, top-level domain. It will you'll be rewarded just as if it were a subdirectory. Can I prove that, by the way? No. Don't have empirical data to prove that that's the case. It's my belief, just based upon, I don't know, looking at 500,000 websites, backlink profiles, on discussions I've had with people at Google at conferences, on email exchanges I've had with people that work at the engines. But ultimately, can I give you empirical data that absolutely guarantees that's the case? No, but to me, one of the things that I do all the time is I pretend I have my own search engine. If I worked at Google, what would be the kind of things I want to let influence my results? Top-level domain, subdirectory. Do I want to let that influence my results? Not necessarily. I don't want to penalize a webmaster for making a content organization decision that they want a top-level domain, subdomain, or a top-level domain. But looking at them historically over time, man, they've bought links. They've participated in a bunch of link schemes. It looks like they're in a blog network. They're in every possible crappy web directory I could ever see. I'm not so sure I'm going to treat that website with the same type of equality. Again, if I run my own search engine, this is something I want to have a choice over what I'm going to value and what I'm not going to value. Okay, what time is it? It's 10:38. I know a lot of you are going to have to drop off, and that's fine, but I'm going to keep going. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. Nothing there. Let's look up here and see what other questions that we have on the Q&A. Load them up. Sorry. Oh, this is worth asking. Great question. On your Archery example, the top localized rankings each had a Google map embedded on their contact/location page, but no schema. Does embedding a Google map of your location help influence your local rankings? In and of itself, no. I don't do business on purpose with anybody locally in Knoxville, Tennessee. I could still embed a map of my office. That in and of itself is not going to be enough to boost me in the rankings. But for a site like that, which is a site that they can only do business if somebody comes to their location physically. I mean, if I want to teach my 13-year-old how to shoot razor tip arrows with a compound bow, I got to go there. I got to physically go there, meaning I need directions if I've never been there. But the fact that I've chosen to embed a map, if the question is, does embedding a map in some way in and of itself help Google make a decision about you? What I would say is, taken in a vacuum by itself, no. Anybody could embed a map. Fake business could embed a map. But when taken collectively with the other things that we saw there, the links from the mommy bloggers, the link from the Easton PDF, the camp guides, the Pinterest board, the map embedded on their website. All of these things, in my opinion, improve Google's confidence, if you will. If Google had a confidence score, so to speak, that map, when added to the rest of the things that we see, basically bumps that confidence score up a little bit more. Can I prove it? No. It just makes sense. Again, I say, if this were my search engine, what are the types of things I would want to allow to impact my results for the end user? That would be one of them. If it's a business people have to drive to, if they have claimed a local business listing, if they have embedded a map, if they have picked up a few links from some of the high-quality mommy bloggers in Knoxville, if they've gotten a write-up from Easton Sporting Goods on the Easton Foundation website.org, the .org website within a PDF document, these are all things that make me think, okay, I think I can trust them. You know, they are boosting my degree of confidence in them. Okay, next thing. Okay, do you think there is any value in things like design directories, or should I treat them in the same vein as the regular for SEO purpose directories? On a scale of 1 to 10, how risky would you consider them, generally speaking? Does it change based on the client? Great question. Do you think there is any value in things like design directories? Now, when you say design directories, I'm assuming that you're talking about web design. In general, it depends, in my opinion. Whenever I'm making a decision about a web directory, sorry about, looks like the sun's trying to come out, so it's getting bright on my, sorry about that. I apologize again for the next time the technical elements of this are going to be way better. Let's drop that down so that I don't look so scary. That's a little dark. Cool. Okay. Let's talk design directories. Whenever I'm looking and evaluating directories, and I mean, people say, oh, directories are useless. Directories don't serve any purpose anymore. Why do you waste your time with directories? They're wrong. It depends upon it depends on why that directory was created, why it exists, what its motivation was in the first place. If I take you to a site, I'm not going to say the name of it, I don't want to get sued, but you can do a list out there, or search and find a list of roughly 300 web directories that anybody can submit to. It's useless. It's pointless. It's been pointless for probably 10 years. The only people using it are people that have sold gold, silver, or bronze link building packages and have to have something to report to the client at the end of the month, so that it's like, here's your report. Here, we submitted you. Here's directories. All these, you have links now on these directories. You didn't used to have, now you do. This one's called Linkorama. This one's Linkalicious, Linkopedia, Link to My Lou. Absolutely worthless piece of crap directory. Never going to help you directory. Give us your money anyway directory. You got all these links. So there's all of these directories that exist that are still out there today and still will happily take your $19.95 for their quote expedited review. They're junk. They were junk before. I've never submitted to them in my life for any client. I never would have, because you can look at them, and the question I ask is, does anybody ever use these? When's the last time any of you used Webopedia to find anything? Now, let me show you an example of something that is a completely different type of directory. And it's going to take me a minute to pull it up, but we're going to do it. Whoa! Screen share. Back to this site. There's a very famous magazine in the design world called Communication Arts. It existed before the web existed. This is Communication Arts magazine. Now, I don't know if they have a directory or not, but regardless, let's say that they did. The decision that I make as to whether or not I am going to submit to a directory or not is pretty simple. It's what is the credibility of the sponsoring, if you will, organization. Why are they putting that directory up in the first place? Is it their core reason for being, or is it simply a value add to other content? Now, it's interesting, if you look at this website, and any of the linking strategists or link builders out there looking at this one may be looking at what I'm looking at up there at the top. You see a little thing that says submit work. Well, what's that about? Let me size that up so you can see it. That's interesting. There's other things we should be looking at right now. I hope you're looking at this. This is one of the most famous magazines in the world for people who earn their living in visual communication. In other words, this predates the web. Communication Arts was around long before there was ever an internet or a web. So you can submit work here, your design work. It gives you your explanation about what those should be. But did you guys notice the other thing? They have a site of the day. We're looking for outstanding examples of websites to showcase each business day. Submit your favorites using this online form. Are you kidding me? I could potentially be featured in Communication Arts Magazine's online companion site? No, that's not a directory. But the point is still made there, which is the answer to your question, unfortunately, do directories matter, is it depends. It depends on who it is that's hosting or creating the directory, why they created it. There is no master list of directories that you can submit to or that anybody can submit to that will help every website. It does not exist. If somebody created it, you're being fooled. You have to do the legwork or the finger work, the research to identify, depending upon the client. There will be directories. There will be buyer's guides. There will be supplier lists. I did a project, what is it, October, 3 months ago for a company in the fire safety, so fire safety equipment. There were tons of buyer's guides, fire equipment buyer's guides, industry guides that are technically directories. But they're hosted by, whether it's a magazine that's devoted to the fire safety industry, a magazine for people who work for employees, a trade magazine, whether it's a trade show, a big trade show that also has a vendor directory or a vendor's buyer's guide. These are a completely different caliber, a completely different style and level of credibility than Linkopedia, Linkalicious, Linkorama. So anyway, as far as design directories go, there are so many. I mean, there are so many web design directories. That what I would say is that in general, what you have to look at is who is the sponsoring organization and why are they doing this? I mean, a lot of people will create a, quote, web design directory just to get people to fill out that form so that they can then shoot them an email and try to pitch them on some kind of, they have something they're trying to sell. That does not mean all directories are worthless. That does not mean all directories are worthy. What it means is you have to basically make some sort of qualitative decisions anytime you're looking at a web directory for whatever the client is. Likewise with my archery example. I know we're running out of time here, but I could probably find 5 or 10, 15 archery directories. I bet you a lot of those archery clubs have even got little mini directories, useful archery links, you know, an archer's guide to the web. I care about the author. How passionate are they about the subject? Would they be doing this had there never been a Google? That's another one of my classic litmus test questions. Would you be interested in obtaining or earning or getting that link if there were no such thing as Google? The answer has to be yes. Otherwise, the only reason you, because if the answer is no, if when I ask you the question, would you want that link if there was no Google, and you say no, well, that means that you're only pursuing that link for rank. If you don't want a link unless it helps you organically at Google, then in my opinion, your linking strategy is completely ass backwards. It's the other. What you want is a link that can help you regardless of whether or not you get organic value from it at Google. Click traffic, awareness in front of the exact audience that is going to care about what it is that you create or what your website's about. The answer to that question needs to be, I want that link anyway. That's an awesome link because that's the exact audience that I need to be getting in front of. And the great ironic residue of this approach is that when you stop worrying about whether or not Google will credit you for those links and pursue links more based upon the subject matter of your website and the credibility of the hosting site, not rank, the less you worry about that and the more you worry about people and passions, the more likely you are to end up as a residual effect as getting the exact kind of links that Google wanted to see in the first place. The more you ignore Google in terms of your linking pursuits, and the more you think about subject matter and people, the more likely you are to end up appealing to Google. I know it sounds crazy, but and I don't have time to explain when I learned this. I learned this in 1999. It was one of those great epiphany, eureka moments with a client. C. Ray Boats was the client. And maybe next week when I do another one of these, I'll explain how I came to realize that by ignoring completely what Google may or may not want, you end up creating what Google wants. Okay, let's see. Are you aware of any turnkey solutions that I can just outsource link building for clients entirely for a price? Boy, that's a hard question to answer. I don't believe there's such a thing as turnkey because if they're for there to be, there are some companies out there that are doing a hellacious job, that doing a better job than I ever dreamed they would. John and Zach Ball at Page One Power have done about as good a job as I would have imagined anybody could do at actually scaling this as an agency that focuses purely on link building. But here's the challenge of it. One day you get a client, and what's their what's their website about? They're a microbrewery. They're a regional microbrewery. They make a specialty beer that's only sold in the Southeast. Tomorrow you get another client. They're a local orthodontist. They just have clients in Knoxville. The next day a client comes in, and it's a huge law firm with 70 lawyers. The next day a client comes in, and it's a nonprofit association that's devoted to pediatric hearing loss. Something I can definitely relate to with my kids. So that's 4 completely different examples of websites. I'm trying to remember what each one. So we got a hearing loss website, we got an orthodontist, we got a massive law firm, and then we got whatever the first example, the microbrewery. For an agency to have a turnkey solution that would be able to accomplish or help you with your link building for all 4 of those websites would mean that they have to have staff that is enough of an expert in every one of those verticals to be able to prospect, identify, and conduct outreach in the right way to be able to be successful for every one of those websites. Our microbrewery, our big law firm, our nonprofit, and our orthodontist. And in my opinion, it's very difficult for an agency to have the kind of desire, expertise, passion to go out there and do the research and legwork that has to be done to be effective for every one of those. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I will say this. I think it would be a mistake to turnkey it and then turn your back away and think, okay, link building's taken care of. I don't got to worry about that anymore. I think that, and I've always said this, that the client, the more the client is willing to at least get involved and touch, they need some touch in the link building process, the more likely they are to be successful, because they're the ones who are going to know their business and their industry better than anybody. Not some link builder who's just got a bunch of projects stacked up on their desk. I got to build 5 links for the brewery, 5 links from the attorney, 5 links for the nonprofit, 5 links for them. Oh, I forgot about the orthodontist. Oh crap, I'm supposed to have 5 links built for that archery site by Friday. Now what do I do? And that's very difficult for any agency to really keep a handle on. I'd love to tell you that there's a better answer than that, that is the most honest answer I can give you. That the more you try to turnkey and replicate and scale this, the lower the quality of every project will be. I've seen it. Looks like I may have time for another question here. And by the way, let me ask, any of you that, if you know that I can edit this Hangout, I'm not a YouTube whiz, I want to edit out those 5 minutes when my mic wasn't working, the video and the audio, and then just splice it back together so that people watching this afterwards can when they get to that point where my voice doesn't work, they think that, oh God, the whole rest of the video is like this, and they don't watch it. So any of you who know how to do that, if you would email me or tweet or send me a tweet, I would be happy to do some consulting or something with you. If anybody knows how to take that 5-minute chunk out of that video, edit it out, and then put it back together so that it's useful for people afterwards. Let's see if I can find another question here. No new ones there. Let's look on Twitter. Oh, there's an awesome question. Are the search results based on the search phrases that are popular in an area? That's a good question, man. Lingo. Use of certain terms. Terms are more popular in certain areas than others. Do I know if Google is incorporating that into their search results? Meaning, if somebody does a search using a word that is, no matter where they're based, that is commonly used in, say, the South. You know, I'm in Tennessee, so I'm not originally from here, but there's a whole Southern language or terminology that I still don't completely understand. Are the engines smart enough to alter their results based upon the search terms? I guess what I would say is I think that since ultimately the sites that Google is bringing back are going to be based upon Google's signals, that the search term itself is going to have some sort of matching. There's going to have to be some signals produced by the site itself or the profile of links to that site for the searcher's use of a particular slang or lingo or whatever to have any kind of impact. Just because I do a search on the phrase redneck in Knoxville, Tennessee, if someone does a search on the phrase redneck in Seattle, Washington, will we each get different results? Yeah, probably. But I don't know that Google, I don't know that it's going to be based upon, well, man, that's a good question. I know Google wants to understand searcher intent, but part of understanding searcher intent means Google has to understand the searcher's psychographics, not just demographics. The intent of a searcher who is a 35-year-old male who loves bass fishing and NASCAR and deer hunting and lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, versus the searcher intent of a 35-year-old accountant who likes cycling and triathlons and lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, even if they make the same income. These are two very different people. So in terms of Google understanding that those results might need to be different based upon those searches, I think that's what Google wants to get to. I don't know if they're there yet, but I know that's where Google wants to get. I don't know if that really answered the question, but gave it a shot anyway. Let's see if I can find any other questions before we wrap this up. Eric, you can use the YouTube editor to edit the video. Yeah, I knew that they had that. I just didn't know if it was possible to do that on one of these Hangouts where Google's doing the actual recording themselves. So I wasn't sure about that. Looking at Twitter now for any other questions are up there. Let's see if we've got any. Nothing there. Okay, it looks like we might have gotten through. I want an ambassador for your chat. It'll help build the audience. That's not a bad idea. I'm a little surprised. I thought I would get more. I think this is what happens when you go off the speaking circuit for a few years. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, but I've kind of vanished from the public eye. All right, let's see. Okay, question. Oh man, what a great question to end on. Do massive brands need link building services, considering they are already well known and people talk about them anyway? First, we have to agree on what we're talking about when we talk about massive brands. Let me just pick one out of thin air. Nike. Does Nike, now when you talk about link building, we now have to qualify that a little bit further. Does Nike need to build any links to Nike.com, the mothership site? In my opinion, at this point in Nike.com's history on the web, no. I don't think there needs to be a link building campaign to get Nike.com to bump up from 16 million inbounds to 16,500,000. Now, when Nike chooses to launch a new website because they let you personalize your shoes, and I know that they have this because my kid personalizes his baseball cleats and it costs a fortune, Nike ID, which is at a completely separate website. Excuse me. Does Nike need to build links for those? Yeah. I don't know if build links is the right terminology. do a publicity campaign, which will, one of the impacts or effects will be that they will attract links to this new domain. Yeah, they could use all of their own already existing Nike.com properties. They probably, who knows, they probably have 25 different websites. They could point all of them to the new website and just try to basically self-rank it. But to answer your question, the massive brand websites, homepages themselves, in my opinion, no. The larger the brand and the longer it's been on the web, in my opinion, the most valuable kinds of links those kind of sites can earn are links to interior content or links to what you might call satellite websites or separate entity websites that serve a specific cause or purpose for them, or temporary purpose. Like if Nike decided to launch a website for the Super Bowl, you know, Super Bowl whatever, Nike.com. Then you generate publicity and try to build some links there. But do we need any more links to a site like that? Does Microsoft.com need any more links to its homepage? In my opinion, no. When they launch the next version of the tablet, do they launch it at Microsoft.com/product/tablet/surface/that, or do they launch a brand new domain called DoThingsDifferently.com as a standalone website for a new product? Yeah, now you got to build links. Now you got to generate publicity. But I don't know that I've ever encountered a client. If the client has been on the web for more than a few years, and I study their backlink profile, and I see that they have got a truly powerful collection of inbound pointing to their homepage, my advice to them, if they don't have other properties they're planning on launch, sometimes I'll recommend that they actually launch a separate satellite site to accomplish a specific objective. But more often than not, what I recommend is if they have new content inside their website, if they've launched a new feature inside their website, that's what they need to get links to now, internals. I mean, they've done all of the, I'm not going to say all, but they've basically accomplished the lion's share of what they're going to accomplish at the homepage level. From that point forward, I would rather see a site pick up additional inbounds. Why? From an organic standpoint, if I'm running my own search engine, and I can't speak for Google because I don't know, but this just makes sense for me. If I'm running my own search engine, and I've got two websites, the website that has the more deep links, if two websites each have 1,000 links each, but one website has 500 to its homepage and 500 to interior content. The other website, it has 1,000 links as well, but it has 300 to the homepage and 700 to deep content. I'm ranking that one high. That's the better site. Algorithmically speaking, it's shown the ability to attract inbounds beyond the homepage to a greater degree than this other site. That doesn't happen by accident. My own site would be an example. I could care less if I ever get one more link to ericward.com. What I want is links to interior content that I create. I want to continue to show algorithmically that my website matters. And another new link to my homepage that already has tens of thousands is not as helpful as 15 new links to a new article or a column that I might post or a new section that I might create. So anyway, I hope that kind of answered that question there. And I got to wrap this up because I actually may be a little bit late for a client consult. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come to this. I'll edit the version of it that's going to go up on YouTube. Sorry for the lighting and everything that happened. The skies are actually trying to clear here, so I looked a little washed out. But I'm going to try to do more of these. It's very tough for me to travel now in our particular family situation and other challenges we have, but I can definitely get online. I appreciate those of you who don't know who I am taking the time to come watch. I've been doing this for 20 years. I would dare say that although I do not consider myself an SEO expert to any extent when it comes to link building and linking strategies, that I will happily put myself up with anybody out there in terms of helping develop, create, and execute those campaigns. That's the area I've chosen to focus in and stay in for now 20 years. I don't know a thing about pay-per-click, so I can't answer that. There's other experts in those areas. I do still work with clients. Primarily, my income is derived from the newsletter, Link Moses Private. You can find that at my website, ericward.com. The other lion's share of my revenue comes from consulting, both one-offs, individuals. I also create workshops for people about specific topics that they're having trouble with, and those workshops are delivered just like this is. They're 90-minute workshops. We work on the content, the material, and the syllabus, if you will, together. I'm still here, still working, so I hope you found this hangout to be of value, and we'll do some more. Maybe the next time we'll get looks like that we topped out somewhere around 15 or so viewers, and I think the first time I ever did one of these many years ago, I think we had 200, so that tells me right there I need to crank it back up again in terms of trying to be a little bit more self-promoting. Thanks again for all your time, and look for it up on YouTube, and I will try to edit out the great 7 minutes of silence that were in the middle of it. Thanks again, everybody, for coming, and until next time, it's Eric Ward, aka Link Moses. Bye.